Mr. Gröttheim, you are CEO of the Swedish pension fund AP7 and therefore responsible for the investment of around 90 billion euros. And this year was, well, pretty rough for investors. Do you think we are at the beginning of a prolonged bear market?
No, I don't think so. I think we will see maybe in the next coming years a more reasonable development in the stock market, because I think you need to look at this in a more longer perspective. And if you look at the last couple of years and even the last 5 years, we have had tremendous return in the stock market, higher than they would be, because you could expect in the long run maybe 7 to 8% return in the stock market over longer term. So I think we will go back to more normal returns in the future, in the next coming years. But I don't believe we will see a prolonged bear market, no.
Okay, and well, in the last, or more or less over the last decade, big tech stocks were the drivers of the US tech stock market. This seems to be over now. Which sectors do you see dominating in the coming years?
I think we will see still favorable returns in tech stocks, not in line with what we have seen in the last decade. But besides that, I think that stocks that are sort of in the area of the climate change sort of sectors, where you now will see, I think, a more high or a higher speed in the change in the energy system, if you look at the next coming 10 to 20 years. And stocks that are within that kind of environment will get better returns than others.
Okay. But we are at a geopolitical turning point at the moment. China, India, and other countries ignore the sanctions against Russia and buy energy from Russia at low prices. Also, BRIC countries want to work together more closely. What long-term economic consequences might this have?
I think you could be a little bit worried about the development geopolitically, generally. I mean, what's happening in Russia or in Ukraine and the war going on there, and also developments in China. So of course, that is sort of a backlash to the globalization. So in that respect, yes, it could have some impacts, but still, I think that the large international companies are still in United States and in Europe, and they will gain from what's going on in the global economy, even in the future.
And well, you mentioned the US already, but what will this geopolitical turning point mean for other regions of the world? Some say that Europe could be the loser of this trend.
I think you need to look at Europe not as one continent. You need to look at Europe in country-wise, and I think the economies like the German economy, the Nordic economies that has big international companies that are big players in the world market, they will still gain from what will happen in the next 10 to 20 years. Other countries within Europe will, of course, have more problems as they don't have these flexible economy and the large international companies, and they will of course be more of losers. I could agree with that.
Are you talking about the South European countries?
Yeah, for example, some of the South European countries have had problems even in the last 10 years and will continue to have problems when the competition in the world market be getting tougher.
Yeah, many worry about the eurozone as well, as a construction. How do you see that?
I think the euro will survive. It has survived a number of crises historically, and I think as long as France and Germany and also in a large part Italy, the sort of founders of this support it, it will survive. But of course, it will be new crisis in the future going forward.
Okay, so all in all, you're pretty optimistic concerning well, the situation of the world and also the global stock markets. Is this true?
That is true, and the reason is that I think that we have seen interest rates on a level that is not sustainable. We have had two sort of low rates for a number of years now. Now we're going back to normal rates, and we shouldn't be worried about that. I think that's good for the economy to get back to normal, and also that we get maybe a recession now. I'm not worried about that. We haven't had a recession for 10 years, so it's about time. And that's pretty normal if you look at the last 50 years. So I'm quite optimistic when it comes to stocks, even in the next 10 years. Okay.
Yeah. We in Germany, we sometimes look with envy at your model. You're pretty successful. I was in investing shares for retirement, for people in retirement, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite of a success in the last 20 years. So let's hope that it will continue, and I think so.
Yeah. So no huge shifts in your portfolio at the moment concerning Russia or the geopolitical changes in general?
No, I think you should look at the investments in stocks for the long run, and I'm still optimistic and will not change the allocation to a great extent.
And you don't see well, sort of backlash concerning environmental questions because of the Ukraine crisis?
No, I think I mean, what we have seen in the last 6 to 7 months is kind of a reaction in stock markets on that background, and I think going forward, I don't see this to develop into something worse. I think that the war will be going on in Ukraine for some time, unfortunately, but I don't see that impact the world economy more than it has so far.
Well, hopefully your optimism holds true.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Gröttheim, for the interview. And well, I'm looking forward to meet you at the conference of Lupus Alpha in November. And well, thanks a lot and bye.